Hey guys, hope everybody can hear me okay. I've got 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is Chris Cook. I am direct to Symmetry Financial Group. Welcome everybody. Appreciate you getting on the call and on time. Just hit 10:31 a.m. Eastern, so we are getting started just right on time here this morning. Appreciate everybody that's on time this morning. Let's go ahead and get into it. We love starting out each week. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Cook. I'm direct to Symmetry Financial Group, and I have been so for the last 6.5 years. I started with Symmetry Financial in January of 2014. So welcome if you're on this call for the very first time. We're going to go over some numbers. We like to start out each week with numbers here in our group. People that went out and really made it happen, stood out this past week, either an app count or APV. So we're going to get into that right there. First of all, I want to really congratulate somebody we've been working a lot with lately, and somebody that Mark Neubauer works a lot with lately as well, Dominic Austin. This past week, one of our leaders in app count had 6 more applications this past week. Dominic Austin is working his tail off right now. He's going back through and he's working some old leads that he didn't have resolved before, and he's finding something where at once he thought there was nothing. And I love that each and every day he's either doing door knocks because he has unresolved leads where people hadn't answered the phone, or he's making a ton of phone calls to make it happen. So congratulations to you, Dominic Austin. Super proud of you, buddy. 6 applications this past week. I think it's one of the records for you in a week. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think pretty soon you'll be doing 10 to 15 applications in a week, buddy. You keep up that work ethic, you keep up that constant counseling, you're going to get there. 6 applications this past week. Our leader in app count this past week, I want to mention this, it's Jordan Gillum, 8 applications this past week. Super proud of this lady. She's been under the weather for really the last 2 weeks, but as leaders understand, you're not always going to feel like it, right? You're not always going to feel like going and doing what's necessary. But the key is, and what leaders do, is they still perform when they don't feel like it. So super proud of you, Jordan Gillum. 8 applications this past week. Way to make our leaderboard on app count. Shout out to Todd Bader, one of our new agents out in California, up under the Valzarn organization. 3,805 in premium this past week. Way to go, buddy. I know some special things are coming from you and your organization down the road. Super proud of you. And number 1 overall in APV this past week. He's been leaving a previous business, and really, I would tell you, just getting started here within our company. You may have heard his name in the past, but we know just from inside information, he's literally just getting started and just getting started full time. Number 1 APV agent for our week this past week, Jeff Miller, $8,168 in premium this past week. Jeff Miller, way to go, buddy. I know some special things. I know you're already hiring and recruiting people, and you're going to build your own agency here because you've done that before with other companies in the past. But really looking forward to that. And I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think that guy could do 10 and 20,000 a week in personal production. And so looking for some special things from you, Jeff Miller. Super proud of you. You were our number 1 rider this past week at $8,168 in premium. So super proud of you, buddy. Special things are coming with that particular crew. So I want to get into talking about some brand new recruits this past week, because we've had quite a few recruits, and I want to say kudos to the entire organization. We've averaged 36 contracted recruits through the first 6 months of the year. And I think we're going to, and that's per month, right? As an organization, that's per month. So that's pretty good. And it's an indication of a lot of future growth that we got going on in our organization. And a lot of you leaders that I'm going to call out with these numbers, really are a big part of that. But cool part is we've almost recruited as many people year to date as we get in our building business leaderboards as we did all of last year. So how cool is that, right? How cool is that? We went out as an organization, and in 6 months almost recruited as many people as we did in all of 2019. It shows you there's more people looking at our opportunity than ever before. And with today's economy, there's more opportunity in our business than there ever has been ever before. So hope you guys are aware of that. If you're not recruiting, you want to know how, make sure you get with the Growing Upline today. and make sure they teach you how to start your process of recruiting, building your business. It could mean a lot of special things for you and your organization. So who had brand new recruits this past week? We had Jason Marino with a brand new recruit. Way to go, buddy. We had Val Zarn, myself, Laura and Barry Davis, Jordan and Jared Gillum, and we had Robert. Tina, you put Robert. Is that Robert Schaefer's? Okay. Okay. Robert Schaefer, super congratulations to Robert Schaefer's 2 brand new recruits. And you guys, you're going to hear that name on the leaderboard a lot building a business here because he's out of the great state of Michigan. He's got a big business partner and they're going to be growing this thing big and bad and pretty awesome over the next 6 months. So Robert Schaefer's, super congratulations to you, buddy, our leader in recruits this past week, and went out on Saturday, Tina, and he wrote 3 applications. He's got more coming today. So not only recruiting, but also writing applications. That's important in this business, folks. All right, so want to get into some news and notes. Note the new time. A lot of you have been with us for a while. We've always had a Symmetry Financial sales training call right before this one, 10 to 10:30. It looks like they've moved that time permanently. Tina's going to confirm with us today to 12 o'clock Eastern. Today, I know it is at 12 o'clock Eastern. Make sure you plug it into that. We've got the fines that are on the call, and they're going over a critical period concept training today. Guys, if you want to know when I was in the field, what made me ultra profitable is that I understood critical period concept and I applied it to my business. I would tell you critical period was almost 60 to 65% of the business that I wrote out in the field. And especially when I was writing a lot of bonus leads, that was so helpful because it helped me understand the concept of a way to help people better than just the full amount of their mortgage. So plug into that training call today, take notes and apply it to your business. That's the thing we'll always say. Can you take notes and can you apply it to your business? Because if you can, man, it's going to be some special things for you. We've got the new agent call coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Put that in your news and notes. If you're brand new with us, if you're getting started in your first 6-8 weeks of the business, that call is specifically designed for you. It's hosted by Laura Davis. Laura Davis has been with us, gosh, I think, man, Laura, about 2.5 years now, over 2 years. And she's written over 600, 700, 800 applications, somewhere in that neighborhood. All I know, it's a lot of applications. She deposited $125,000 in her bank account last year in this business. If you're looking for business results, this lady can show you how to get them. So make sure you're on that call. Make sure you're taking notes, and make sure you even have the opportunity. Laura's going to go over the new agent, basic stuff that you need to do. And then at the end of that call, she's going to give you an opportunity to ask questions from her. Take notes, and you'll be able to ask questions directly from her. She'll give you a direct reply. Here's the key. Make sure you're applying this stuff to your business, because Laura Davis, I'm telling you folks, high-level producer. She can teach you how to get there. I think just over the last 3 weeks, Laura, you correct me if I'm wrong, buddy, I think you've written like 16, 17,000 just over the last 3 weeks in personal production. So I'm telling you, hey, if you want to know who can go out there and get it done, listen to Laura Davis, and she can help you go out there and get it done as a brand new agent. Corporate overview, put this in your news and notes. Corporate overview Wednesday, hosted by Val Zarn, Mark Neubauer. We have several other leaders going to be in the call with them. It's at 7 p.m. The call is designed to last about 55 minutes. This is about how long that call is going to be. What a corporate overview is basically our leaders showing other people what we do and seeing if it may be a fit for them. The cool part is, if you're hearing my voice today and you're like, well, my neighbor needs to do this, or one of my friends, he's actually very successful at his current job, but he could use extra money, or I know he's looking for a new career. You can plug them into that call. You got our leaders showing them what they've done since they've been here, their story, the corporate overview, really how and what we do and why we do it. They can take notes on that, and if it's a fit for them, if we hire them, guess what? That's now your people, right? So make sure you're plugging people into that right there. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. So note that for your times, hosted by Val Zarn, Mark Neubauer. Make sure you're plugging people into that. Guys, if you've been paying any attention to the evolution of your business part 1 or evolution of your business part 2, I hope you're as excited. I've been a part of this industry now with Symmetry Financial for 6.5 years. And I promise you this is a better opportunity today than it was 6.5 years ago when I started. If I was starting today, I'm telling you, it'd be more of an advantage than when I started 6.5 years ago. That's how tremendous this opportunity is. And with the new announcements coming out by Symmetry Financial, to note that you now have an opportunity, raises. I think raises are even simpler now to get than ever before with the new agent promotion guidelines coming out. You can check them out on the website. They're already posted out there along with the old ones. They've got it right below it. It's posted right below it. Make sure you're looking at the new agent promotion guidelines. You can go up and get 110% contract now as a personal producer. 110%. You with me? You can get up to 120% contract as a business builder and producer. I'm telling you, it gives you an owner's pack, 2 different ways for you to go create raises for you and your family and go out and make a different thing. Congratulations to everybody that's hearing my voice today that has a license and you're contracted with our company. You're getting a 10% raise August 1st. Woohoo, right? That's pretty good, man. I'm telling you, like, if you don't understand what that means, let me break it down to you mathematically. It simply means this: each application, every 5% increment you go on there, average, because the average application is 1,000 APV, right? Each application is increasing your income by $50, each 5%. So if you get a 10%, each application now is $100 more than it was worth in the month of July. I'm just telling you, each application, $100 more that you're making because you're going to receive, everybody here that's licensed and contracted with us is going to receive a 10% raise come August 1st. So congratulations to each and every one of you. That's going to be awesome. And take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. If you're a part-time producer and you're averaging 10 applications a month, that means you're getting $1,000 a month raise here in 2.5 weeks. You're getting $1,000 a month raise. That's part-time. If you're a full-time producer like a Laura Davis that does 20 to 30 applications a month, because I promise you, she does 20 to 30 applications a month, pretty much every month she's ever been with us. And hey, Laura, for you, buddy, it's a $2,000 to $3,000 a month raise. You know, how cool is that, buddy? It's just, let me see if I've got you unmuted, buddy.
It's awesome, just for doing stuff that I do normally.
Dude, already for what you already do. I mean, and it's literally $2,000 to $3,000 a month because it's just math, man. And so I'm so happy for you and your husband, Barry, and your family, because that's going to make a tremendous impact on your business, right? It's a tremendous impact, right?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited for the new folks too coming in because, you know, I mean, we started off lower, you know, and we had to work our way up. So, you know, starting at a point where it's easier to hit those promotional goals, you know, that gives you confidence. And, yeah, you know, it really does help when you're starting out. So I'm excited for all the new folks on here.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll tell you my little sad sob story to that. So when I got started in this industry, mortgage protection, final expense, I started out even below y'all. I started out on a 55% contract is what I started out on. So a lot of people don't know that, but that's what I started out on, was a 55% contract when I first got in this business. So quickly moved my way up, but hey, we all start at humble beginnings, right? You know what I mean? So the cool part is a brand new agent starting out with us has such an advantage, folks. So take advantage of that, because that is tremendous. And, you know, just the opportunity to go out and get your raise wherever you want to get as a full-time producer is pretty phenomenal too. You can go all the way up, like we said, to 110% contract on that right there. Make sure you pay attention to that. Check it out on the website. I'm going to be posting those more on our call each week. You're going to see it more visual. I didn't want to worry about it this week. I just wanted to get everybody excited about that, but we're going to give some more visuals to that as we get closer to that August 1st date. So make sure you guys do that. Also, they announced, you know, really there's a new incentive plans for new agents. I'm going to get more in details as we get closer to everything being fully implemented. One of the things that we already have always had is free life insurance for our brand new agents. Number one, how cool is that, right? That's through AmeriCo. one thing we're coming up with is we're going to have health coverage at basically half the price that normal people pay for health coverage coming up. Really starting any day now that they're supposed to be implementing that. So look for those news and notes to be coming out, folks. That's health coverage. For some of you, I know when I first started here, that was one of our biggest fears for me and my wife. It was like, well, we don't have any health coverage. When I left my previous position with Toyota Two Show back in the day as a worker, W-2 employee, I remember losing that coverage, and I remember thinking, man, it's going to cost me X amount. I did it because I realized what was available to me, and I'd never want to think anybody that should deter you from starting here. It's just now they're going to almost eliminate that excuse, right? They're going to basically give you healthcare coverage for like half the cost as you would have it before. So I'm just saying kudos to everybody out there, because some very special things coming in. Thank you to the founders of the company, Casey Watkins, Brandon Ellis, and Brian Pope, for making this a part of Symmetry Financial. So pay attention to those things, folks. A lot of good things coming up. And I wanted to get into this before I get into our book of the month. Well, actually, let's do the book of the month, and then I'm going to do some little charts after that I think will be really helpful for you guys. But we'll do book of the month first. Our current book of the month. Laura Davis, what is our book of the month, buddy?
How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. Yeah, Dustin's got it right there, by Frank Bedgar. Woo. Awesome, amazing book. I love this. There's a lot of folks on this call here that are rereading this book. So I read this 3.5 years ago for the very first time. And it really jump-started me in the business. It got my feet grounded, put my mind right. It just set me in the right direction. So for all the newbies on here that are just first reading this, like Chris was saying at the beginning of the call, it's good to read it, but use it, and implement the things that you're reading in this book, because it can really jumpstart you, in this business. And with all of the stuff that they just rolled out with the new promotional guidelines and, all of the fantastic stuff that they rolled out to us, now is the time. Now's the time to get started and drive this thing like a Ferrari, while you still can, and get your piece of the pie. But I really, when I started reading this again, rereading it, I'm in a different place right now in my business than I was when I first read it. So I got a lot of different things out of it, than I did the first time, which is fantastic. So Frank Bedgar is an amazing author. He is an amazing person. He wrote this from his perspective starting back in 1907. He starts off the book talking about how he was playing for a small Johnsontown, Pennsylvania tri-state league in baseball. And he was making back then about $175 a month. So that was, all right money for back then, but his coach came up to him one day and said, hey, Bedgar, you're awfully lazy. And that was a shock for him, because he was, he thought that he was so enthusiastic. He thought that he was, bringing his A game, but, his coach was like, you're walking around like you've been doing this for 25 years. And why would you do that? You're just moping around. Like, why would you do that if you're not lazy? And he was like, well, because I'm nervous and I'm scared, and I want to hide all that from the players, and especially, the other opposing team. And he says, you know what, you need to put some life and enthusiasm back into your work. So whatever you do, I'm firing you right now. So whatever you do in the future, please put enthusiasm with it. So he took that to heart. He did get a lower paying opportunity at $25 a month at that time. So he was working, and he was like, you know what can I lose? But I'm going to go ahead and put all of my enthusiasm into it. He said he was throwing the ball around the field. The players couldn't even catch his balls. They were so fast, and so he did that for, let's see, a good few months, I think it was. And he made a resolution that nobody would ever accuse him of being lazy again. And he made a choice. He just made up his mind that he was going to establish the reputation of being the most enthusiastic ball player that they'd ever seen in the league. And guess what? He did that, because later on, just a few months after that, he was introduced to the Cardinals and he became a professional player. So within those few months, with his enthusiasm, it had skyrocketed his career. So enthusiasm alone did it, he says, but didn't do anything without enthusiasm. So I would suggest, and this is for the new folks here, remember, as you grow in this business, remember how you're feeling right now and how enthusiastic and how amazing this opportunity is, and that enjoyment and that joy that it's bringing to you right now. Because later on, when it gets hard for you, you're going to have to remember that, just like Frank did back in the day. He had to remember what it was like to be enthusiastic and to play with his whole heart. So now's the time. He says, during his 32 years of selling, I've seen enthusiasm double and triple the income of dozens of salesmen, but I've also seen the lack of it cause hundreds of salesmen to fail. I was in this place at one point, to be very transparent with you guys. I was just going through the motions, doing what I had to do to get by, and I wasn't very enthusiastic about it. And the folks that I came in contact with could tell that about me. And it came across as being pushy or salesy or commission breath, as we call it, so I had to snap out of that real quickly and remember why we're in this business and why I originally got into it. It was to help people, and what we do here at Symmetry Financial Group is genuinely helping folks. If you've been in the business long enough, you've had a death claim. And I just recently had one a couple of weeks ago, and the carrier is working on getting that issued right now. So that family will have the check in the mail this week. And that is going to make such a difference in their lives. They're not going to have to uproot their family and move. The wife is, of course, she's grieving right now, but, she's in a good place financially to where she can get her mind right and she can grieve properly. So what we do is very, very, very important for these families. And just remember that you need to listen to them when you're sitting in front of them. That kind of goes on to the next chapter here. This idea put me back into selling after I had quit. So he actually quit because he was like, I'm not any good at this. After baseball, he went into, he was actually pedaling his bike around town, collecting, I forget what he was collecting, installments for George Kelly's. It says so. He was basically some guy that came to your house trying to collect premium payments each month from this institution. And he was just felt like he was hitting a wall, and he quit that. And he says that in here it says these ideas lifted me out of the ranks of failure. So he thought about this a lot after he had quit, and he says, how am I going to make myself see the people? Because he didn't want to. Like Chris said, Jordan's been sick for the past couple of weeks, and she probably genuinely didn't want to run any appointments or see or talk to anybody, but she did anyway. And so that was another choice that he made along this journey right here. He said, I had secretly kept complete records of my calls for 12 months. That's really important, guys. That's why we say here that you track everything. Track your dials. We track your appointments. We track the number of folks that answer the phone, because what you see is what you can measure. What you measure is how you can move past that to be better. So once you keep good records, it's real easy to go back and see what you need to do better. Maybe you need to make some more phone calls. Maybe you need to sit with just a few more people. Maybe you need to do some more STPs each week, to help grow your team. But all this leads times sales equals dials. What Frank did was break it down to where he had it to where he netted $2.30 every time somebody answered the phone. And that's what I like to do here with my dials, because that keeps me motivated. You know, last week, I think, let's see, last week, every time I picked up that phone, I made $10.25. So that's pretty good. I don't know where else we could go to make, I mean, even if they don't answer the phone, just picking up that phone, you make $10 an hour. You know, that's a minimum wage job now, you know? So it's simple stuff, but you know, the main point of this chapter was what you can see can be measured. So guys, measure everything. That's why we keep track of our, you know, on our business trackers. That's why we keep track of all our numbers and everything. So the next chapter is one thing that I did to help me destroy the biggest enemy that I've ever had to face. His enemy was fear. And that's a lot of this business. I know a lot of new folks are fearful. I knew when I first started, I was terrified because I didn't know what I was doing, you know, and I was told, buy some leads, book some appointments, here's your phone script, go out there and see these families, call me in the home when you get there, and then I'll lead you through it. And I was like, okay. You know, I mean, it's got to be better than what I'm doing now, which is absolutely nothing. So it's got to be better than that. So I did it. And in the first week, I made around $1,500 off of just 2 policies that I'd written. And that gave me a little bit more belief in the system, that it was really legit, that I was actually getting paid. You know, I got paid in a couple of weeks after that, you know, because I was brand new, had to go through contracting, but, you know, writing paper applications and all that. So it did give me the belief that I needed. It conquered a lot of fear. It gave me confidence to go to the next home. You know, it gave me confidence to get back on that phone when I needed to, you know. So it's just, this book is basically just describing all of the little decisions that he had made along the way that helped him become a better person and a better salesman. But he wasn't actually selling to these folks. What he was doing was sitting in front of them and really listening to what they wanted. And that's the point of what we do here, is that if we'll sit down and we have a genuine heart coming into these appointments for these families, that we really, really genuinely want to help them, we're going to listen to them, and they're going to tell you everything that you need to know to sell them something and take care of that problem that they're having. But the main thing is not to take your finger off of the problem. The entire time that you're talking about it, don't let that out of their grasp, because once you hit that button on them, that, you know, their why, then you're going to want to keep pushing that, and you're going to want to keep on them, but in a kind way. And you're going to want to ask a ton of questions. So that's about the next chapter here. The only way I could get myself organized. I know that's a huge deal for new folks. I go through it with new agents all the time. How do I get organized? Well, this chapter tells you all about it. And also, guys, in chapter 3, it was talking about if you have fear of getting up in front of people and speaking, in general, you know, like if you're going into a home and you're so nervous and, oh my gosh, what are these people going to think about me? You need to take a public speaking class. That's what he was talking about. You know, that'll really help you, but you be very specific about the class that you take. You want a class to where you can actually get up there and speak each and every time you go. And it'll help you, because if you do it, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Just like anything else in this business, same thing. If you're afraid of getting up in front of folks, just do that more. And you know, there are a lot of communities that have free public speaking classes for folks. So just check it out in your community. I know Dale Carnegie is an awesome, it's an awesome class, but that's what he's talking about there. So the next chapter, he's talking about getting organized. He would write down each and everything throughout his schedule. That's really important for us to be very productive throughout the week. I have to write down everything. I write down my breaks. I write down my family time. Of course, these calls are so important, and those are the first things that I block out of my schedule each and every week. After that, I'm going to book my appointments around that. My dial time is very important. You have to protect that time. So he went through and he wrote down each and everything. You know, he says that really helped him, and it helped me as well. So I can second that. No, part 2 goes into the formula for success in selling, and how I learned the most important secret of salesmanship. Listening was basically what I got out of this chapter here. He got a big deal. Frank went in and he talked to this gentleman who had already had a ton of illustrations worked out for him already from a bunch of different agents. He had actually talked to a couple of his friends who were agents, and they'd worked up illustrations for him and quotes, but he actually got that deal, and he didn't at first understand why he had gotten that deal. He thought he was just, you know, getting better as a salesman. It was maybe something that he had said to him, but he spoke with this gentleman. I believe he was at another convention, and he was speaking to Clayton Hussicker, and he says the most important secret of salesmanship is to find out what the other fellow wants, then help him find the best way to get it. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm pushing on that button with these folks. You know, you find out by listening what they want, because they're going to tell you everything that they need, and then you're just going to help them get that. So you're the advocate. You're the true advocate to them. So finding out what people want and helping them get it is basically the formula for success. And that's what he figured out from talking with this gentleman at the convention, that was why he had the biggest deal that the company had ever seen. And that was $8,000 back then. If you guys have seen the leaderboards lately with Symmetry Financial Group, it's amazing. So the opportunity's here. You know, you're in the right place. You know, it's doable, and there's no cap on your income. So if you put your whole self into it, you're going to get a whole lot out of this. But if you only put a little bit and just try to get by, and you're going to end up first not being able to protect the families that you sit in front of, which is the very most first important thing. That's our job here at Symmetry Financial Group. But also, you're leading people if you're building a team. So that's going to rub off on them. You know, your enthusiasm is going to run off on them. So, you know, I just love this book. Just apply this rule. Try to find out what people want and then help them get it, because that is the big secret of selling everything. Basically, it just goes on for more breakdown of that. I can't wait to finish this book again, and I hope everybody out there is reading it, because it's amazing, and apply what you're learning. So that's all I've got today, Chris. Thank you.
I love it, buddy. And I love what you said. It's apply what you're learning. It's like me and Laura could read the book and we could get excited about it, but if we don't apply it, it doesn't mean anything to our families. Where do you apply this in your life, and where do you apply this in your business? And if the answer is you're not really sure, then come up with a game plan to apply it and start applying it today. I love this book because this is, I went to a sales meeting. I'm going to retrace all my steps back in this business. And I went to a sales meeting. My upline, I was 32 years old. My upline was 19 years old. Yes, y'all heard that correctly. My upline was 19. I was 32 years old. This was November 1st, 2004. And I had just quit my job of 6.5 years. And I went to this meeting. It was a sales meeting. It was in Maryville, Tennessee, at their office. And he said, well, you know, beyond all this, we need to be reading a book each week. And I was like, dear Lord, I didn't get into this business to read books. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been to college. I've already graduated college. Laura, I didn't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. But he said, that's the key to success. And I said, if you're telling me, if I run this amount of appointments and I read this book, you're telling me that I will make what you guys are talking about making. And he said, yes. And I said, so what's the book that you want me to read? He said, I want you to read Frank Bettcher's How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. That date was November 1st, 2004. 7 days later, I showed up to that same meeting because it was a weekly sales meeting. And I laid the book down on his desk and I said, I've read that book. What do you want me to read next? Y'all with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or what do you want me to read next? I read that book. Like I didn't remember. If you're in this business, take what we're saying as just absolutes that will help you and your family get there. And I promise you this, folks, there's little notes that I took from the very first time I read that book that has helped me. Keep in mind, that was almost 16 years ago this November. I've been commission only. My family has been commission only for 16 years. Y'all with me? Like, because that's a scary part for a lot of you, right? Never been commission only. Well, guess what? I could raise my hand at that time and tell you that as well too. And it was scary for me to get into it. But these books, like if you want to go back and look at all the appointments I ran, all the people that I see and all the people that I helped, it went back to this initial book where I got my mind right, where I got my enthusiasm right about the business. But I'm going to just leave you with a few things that was very passionate from me about this book that I took notes on back then that I applied throughout that time in my business. And I still apply it to this day in this business because they all ring true. And I was looking at page 11. I remember reading this for the first time, scared to death, just like some of y'all. Gentlemen, after all, this business of selling narrows down to one thing. Keep in mind, I've never been in sales before in my life, ever. I was working as a logistics coordinator. Just one thing, seeing the people. Show me any man of ordinary ability who will go out and earnestly tell his story to 4 or 5 people every day, and I will show you a man who just can't help but making good. I remember highlighting that. If you guys see it, I highlighted it, circled it, underlined it, whatever you want to call it, I did it. And I said, I may not be good at sales, which I knew I wasn't. I've never been a part of sales before in my life. I may not be good at talking to people because I really wasn't. I was pretty much awkward in talking to people because I promise you, I never wanted to speak in public. That was not a dream of mine. What I did was say, I know if I gave my boss enough attention to go out and see, you know, and do all the work that they asked me to do for the past 6.5 years, I can surely do this for my family. I can go out and see 4 or 5 people a day. I can go out and see 4 or 5 people a day. I can do that. You with me? Now, I wasn't very good. My presentation was probably horrible, right? But I could see 4 or 5 people a day. And I promise you, the people that did business with me early on, it wasn't because I was great at my vernacular. I wasn't great with my language to people, but they could honestly see how hard I was working. They could honestly see how hard I was working, and I was working very hard. And I promise you, some of them, I think, did business with me because they just knew this was a young man that was just working hard. He was working hard for a family and a dream. And I think they did business with me because they wanted to do business with people that were working hard. Y'all with me? And some of you may be there. Your presentation may not be the best. It's okay. It's not about that. It's about, do you show people you care? Do you show people that you genuinely are working hard? And so ask yourself, are you seeing 4 or 5 people a day, right? Because if you do in this business, remember, Frank Bettcher's already told you, you cannot fail. And I remember, I had that on an index card. Y'all with me? Had that on an index card, and that really helped me in this business. Another thing I want to share from this book, because as y'all see, I drew a line. Can you see it? Because I want to see the illustration. Let me see it. Hope you guys can see that. Drew a line. It said this. There's the whole thing, and there's this whole thing in a nutshell. There's the whole foundation of this business of selling. And then I drew an arrow, and I drew a big arrow up to it. I highlighted and I circled it, and it said calls. I said, Nobody was going to outcall me. I was like, if person X was good enough to make it happen in $150 a week, I knew what I lacked in skill I could make up for in activity. Y'all with me? I knew the top producers then were Casey Watkins and Brandon Ellison, parts of that company, two people that I met 2 months later. And they were the top sellers. I knew that if they made 150, I had to make 300 to 500 a week to be able to come close to their numbers, because it came down to calls. You with me? So I'm just letting you guys know that that really helped me in this business. And you know what Laura said earlier, I kept an activity sheet. The activity sheet I reported to my 19-year-old mentor every week. I reported it to him. I said, here's what I did this week. It wasn't about me reporting to him. It was about me being accountable to myself. He wasn't my boss, and I'm none of your all's bosses. And some of you that are mentoring other people, you're not their bosses. But what you are is a person that's mentoring them and helping them. And so if you ask yourself, if you're not receiving sheets from the people you're in business with each week, activity sheets, you're probably not doing a good job of mentorship. And if you're not, as a mentee, reporting those numbers, you're not doing a great job of being mentored, because you're not holding yourself accountable to anybody. I held myself accountable to a 19-year-old. I was 32. Keep that in mind, folks. Does that make sense? It wasn't about age. It was about me holding myself accountable to something bigger. So let me read you this too. I thought this was important. It's from page 32. He said, the most important secret of salesmanship is to find out what the other fellow wants, then help him find the best way to get it. In the first minute of your interview with that man, Scott, you took a blind stab and accidentally found out what he wanted. Then you showed him how he could get it. You kept on talking more about it and asking more questions about it, never letting him get away from the one thing he wanted. If you always remember this one rule, selling will be easy. In other words, finding out what the other person wants and helping them get it. What you see about a Laura Davis and Elijah Carujo, some of our top producers out there in the field, they're great at asking questions. And when they find out what that other person wants, they simply show them how our products help them get it. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. That's the essence of this business. And I hope that resonates, because I really, years ago, when I realized that's how I became good, because I was good at helping other people get what they said they wanted, whether it be looking at taking care of a child, a husband, or a wife. Make sure you find out what that is, and you talk about less about what the product does or what it is, and more about what it does, because that's what's important to families. I love the public speaking class. If you guys look at that, what do we have set up every 2 weeks right now as a public speaking class for some of our leaders? It's a corporate overview. You with me? So think about that. You know, Betsy Barr already has her own public speaking class set up every week for her, right? She's doing debt-free life, right? One of my first public speaking things was getting up each week and talking at that meeting, right? Just talking about what our week was the week before. What are you doing? What steps are you doing to make sure that you're talking, right? One of the ways to have a public speaking course is STPs. It's show the plan or share the plan. And keep in mind, public speaking can be one-on-one, right? It's to a person, maybe a friend, maybe a family member, maybe a cold market person. But STPs was one of the first ways to start your own public speaking, right? And it may be just one-on-one. So share the plan, show the plan. One of the reasons we incorporate that, because we realize if you become more confident in sharing the plan that way, you'll become more confident in just speaking to people, period. And for people like me, that helped me overcome a lot of awkwardness early on in my career, because I promise you, I was not good at any of that. You with me? So I say, look at those things, folks, as you do it. I wanted to leave one thing before you get off here visually for all of you guys, just to make your world simple. I pray it becomes very simple for you, because it was designed to be simple. But I know a lot of you guys are starting out here in the new world. Tina, give me a head nod. Can you see this? The underwriting made simple. Good. All right. So, I was just sitting there, obviously we have this in different things, and I just want to share this with everybody. It's like, because a lot of people want to come here and overcomplicate this business out in the field. This business is not that complicated out in the field. This right here, underwriting made simple. Just make sure you're sticking to these general guidelines. I would do this above and beyond virtual mentor. I'd make yourself very simple right here. If you're at tier 1, when you're out there in the field, I just wanted to leave this tip for you guys before we get off here today. Just tier 1, if the client's healthy, they can qualify based on their age, their health, their face amount. You're either going to go with AMAM Home Certainty or Mutual of Omaha Term Life Express. I wouldn't go off of that as long as my clients fit that criteria. As long as they fit that criteria, I would not move from those products. It's exactly the way I started with Symmetry Financial. I would not go off those 2 products. If they need a whole life plan, you can always go with Mutual of Omaha Index Universal Life Express. Issue ages are 18 to 70. If you have something that they're healthy enough to qualify for tier 1 that's off of that, then you would just simply call your upline mentor and allow them to guide you on what best product would suit that family. Make it very simple. Make it very easy for you. You with me? Don't overcomplicate this business, folks. If they don't qualify for that due to health reasons, simply put, you go down to tier 2. AMAM Dignity Solutions or Mutual of Omaha Living Promise. As a best practices, when possible, good to supplement Mutual of Omaha Guaranteed Advantage, which is our accidental only product. It's a great addition to Dignity Solutions or Living Promise to provide more value to the client. This is the exact same products. I want you to look, if you look at, take for example, last year, our most successful agent out in the field made over $200,000. This was the exact product guides that they looked at. They didn't go off this. They didn't write fully underwritten. They didn't go out and write a ton of other products. Made over $200,000 in personal production with us last year, and they did not go off of this. And if they did, it was very rare, and it was just boom, very rare. So tier 2, you can get with your growing upline today if you have questions on any of this. Tier 3 was simple. If you're currently only contracted with Gerber, start there. Probably within about 2 weeks, Tina, you give me a thumbs up. It's usually about 2 weeks, right? That you can switch it over to AIG, start with AIG and stay with AIG. Really the difference between Gerber and AIG is one thing. Gerber will only pay you as earned on your contract, and AIG will advance commission you. I just wanted to bring value to you guys today to make this part very simple because a lot of people want to overcomplicate this. This is it. And the only time I would ever deviate off this, if my direct upline, my growing upline, said, hey, maybe use this product to fit this one, but that's a good time for a call if you can't solve that issue there. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because we're going to be talking a lot about in our new promotion guidelines about issue paid business. You want to issue pay 85, 90% of your business that you submit, do this tier system. It will literally revolutionize. Using this tier system, Joe Martinez was 81 for his first 81 in issue paid applications when he started with us. It means he submitted 81 applications. 81 applications were approved. Y'all with me? So if you ever have any issue rates, start here, right? I'm sure Tina would give you a big thumbs up on that because she looks at those all the time, right? So, well, guys, I hope we added value to you today. Thank you so much, Laura Davis. Great breakdown. Can't wait to hear you tomorrow on the new agent call. Appreciate everybody out there going out there and making it happen. And I tell you what, let's go out there and make it happen. We got big things ahead for this company. So let's go out there and find more people that want to do what we all do. I appreciate everybody. Have a great week.